So the next thing in 2.1 is we're going to be talking about getting information about a function from the graph. Before we do that, we need to do like a quick interlude. So a little sidebar, and this is just about interval notation. So this is just a way of writing sort of groups of numbers. It's a little bit of a shorthand. It's probably something you're familiar with, so I'll show you a couple different things. So let's say, right, on a number line, so here's my number line, right? We'll do 1, 2, 3. This is like 2, 4. Okay, go backwards. Back to like -2, right? So if this is my number line, if I sort of superimpose over this a range of numbers, and so what I'm going to do is two things. So let's start here, and let's go forwards. And we're going to end here. So this is essentially taking us from, right, -1 all the way up to +3. So on the number line, this would be how we would represent it. There are two things happening. This filled in circle at the end point means we include the -1. This is what we call an open circle up at 3. You can see that it's not filled in, and so that means we don't include +3. So we're covering all the numbers between -1 and 3, but we're not actually including the endpoint 3. So you could write this with like greater than, less than, right? Alligator mouth. Sort of notation, you would say for us, right, we're starting at -1, we have our x's, and they're going between, right, -1 and 3. So we're greater than -1, we're less than 3. We're including the -1, so what that would mean is we put that, right, sort of little extra bar underneath our less than symbol. And so this is, right, -1 is, less than or equal to x, right? So this is less than or equal to, right? And then this is our strictly less than. If we were writing this using interval notation, so this is sort of our new notation. I'll switch colors. So if we're writing this with interval notation, what we're doing is a similar kind of thing. We're sort of going right from -1 to 3. And so what we do is we use a parentheses when we have the open circle, so when we're not including the endpoint, and we use a bracket where we include it, right? So bracket is inclusive. So we're including the -1, our parentheses are exclusive. So this would be all the numbers that are between -1 and 3, including the -1, but not including the 3. So you'd have, right, kind of decimal style like 2.9, 2.95, 2.98, right, 2.9892, right, going closer and closer and closer to 3, but you would never technically hit the 3. If we wanted to include sort of an interval that actually like goes on forever, so let me draw another number line. right? So if I've got this, same kind of thing, right? So, right, -2, +2. So if I wanted to sort of visualize it on the number line, so let's start at -1 again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go up and we're going to go all the way through these values, and then we're just going to keep going. So this is, right, so up through +3 and then just continuing onwards. So starting at -1, including it, and then everything bigger than that. So this would be, right, x is strictly greater than or equal to -1, right? So our x is strictly bigger than -1 or it's equal to that. There's no like upper bound, there's no high value here, there's no max value. We're just going on and on and on forever. In theory, right, what that means is we're sort of going off to infinity. So then if we wrote that as an interval, what we're going to have is starting at -1 with a bracket, and then we're going up to infinity. So we literally just use the infinity symbol, right? Looks like an 8 that's turned sideways. So this is from -1 all the way up to positive infinity. Because this isn't technically a number, what we're going to do is we're going to use an open parentheses to sort of end this interval. So starting at -1 and including it all the way up to infinity with the parentheses. So this is our interval notation. So this is what we need to answer some of these 2.1 information from the graph questions. So that's coming up next.